What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for Week 3 of the 2021 season. And this is big. We've got teams that are 0-2, 2-0, 1-1, a mixed bag of stuff going on. Plenty of injuries, trades, big waiver wire moves. You name it, we got it this evening. We got a short cast tonight, though. It's just me and Mafali on the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? Glad that we could still get on here tonight for everybody. Even though we're missing our main man Jordan, but just glad to be here and putting on a show for everybody.
Yeah, yep. Jordan's Jordan's actually in Taiwan right now. He's selling drugs down there. No, I'm just kidding. He's
Yes.
I don't know what Jordan's doing. I can't remember what he said. I just know he said he was gonna be busy tonight, so he wasn't able to do it. But
Yeah, I believe he's with Matt. I believe him and Matt are at one of Matt's events that he holds for his MMA or for his not MMA, sorry, jiu-jitsu classes. So guys, if you're ever looking to get into jiu-jitsu, Matt, who is what is his name now in our league?
Jiu-Jitsu
Jiu-Jitsu
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah. So obviously that's your guy to go to if you ever looking to do jiu-jitsu. He's awesome.
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu Jesus, their gym, I mean, Spartanburg Martial Arts? No, Hub City Martial Arts. That's where we had the draft. So pretty cool. Thanks again, Matt, for letting us see the draft there. But let's dive into this, Mafali. Let's get into our news and notes here for going into week 3. And we've got a bunch, but I'm going to try to keep it a lot shorter than last week because I know that ate up a lot of time. Plus, we got a whole new segment for you guys that I don't want to ruin the surprise for, but we're going to do that before we get into Game of the Week and the Week 2 previews. So to kick us off, let's go over some of the trades. The trade that happened, the only trade officially, as the time we were recording the podcast at least, that transpired between Monday and tonight, Wednesday night, here at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time. But Burrow's body count gave up DK Metcalf for Devonta Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, and a counteroffer to my trade offer, which was actually a little bit different. I was really targeting more Jeremy Chin, but DK was also part of that deal, so it obviously didn't go through. But that's the only trade that's happened. We had some big waiver wire moves, though. Some big names like Ben Roethlisberger were officially cut in the LCC for the first time ever, I want to say, which was big stuff. Jameis Winston got dropped after that awful performance against Carolina, where over the pants hand job grabbed Teddy Bridgewater. We also had a couple other moves where Zach Moss was picked up, who had a 2-touchdown game over the weekend. You also had Justin Fields get picked up off waivers. And you also had, let's see, any other big ones that I'm missing here?
No, in terms of the waivers, those were the big ones.
Those
for
are
sure.
some of the big ones, yeah, that I'm seeing. At least big name players. I think there were some made that are going to help teams big time. But I think a lot of people probably don't know their names. But I think you're going to see teams kind of benefit from that, if you will, this weekend and tomorrow night from some of these waiver wire moves and ad drops. Next, big notes, injury-wise, we're not going to go over all of them, but some of the bigger ones. Tua is down. We also have the entire 49ers backfield, which is pretty much dead at the moment. Andy Dalton goes down, and of course, that allowed for rookie quarterback. I'm blanking right
Justin
now.
Fields.
Justin Fields, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, to come in. Sorry, I don't know where my mind is right now, but yeah, Jarvis Landry go down, and the Bradley Chubb was another big one who just got put on Peyton's IR actually here recently.
Yeah, can't stay healthy, Bradley Chubb, man. Every year it's been for him since he's got drafted.
That sucks because he has so much upside, man.
Yeah, and like with the 49ers backfield, same thing. It feels like every year, this is the same topic we talk about. 49ers backfield is injured. It always starts with Raheem Mostert, and then everybody else seems to go down behind him.
Yeah.
Ever since they let Frank Gore go, they haven't been able to really find. I mean, Carlos Hyde for a little bit, but they haven't really been able to find that solid running back to put behind that great line and that great run game they have. Honestly, they can put
Yeah.
almost anybody back there and look good.
Yeah. Next one. These are just some random things that have happened. I myself, owner of Robot Leprechauns, hit the 90 win mark in my career. Woohoo!
Congrats.
Yep. Doesn't mean anything though, 'cause I don't have a championship. Daquan is still one loss away. Oh, he was 2 losses away, but now he's 1 loss away from tying Storm for most losses in league history, which is 75. Matt is 1 loss away from tying Storm for most conference losses in league history, which is 63. Cody is currently tied for 5th longest multi-season losing streak in league history. He's lost 8 straight, and the record's 11. Last one, week 7, 2020. Like, we're not that far from a full calendar year. I know he'll win before then, but that is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I don't think we've never had anyone go a full calendar year without winning a game.
No, and I think he'll get one before then.
Yeah, he definitely will.
He's got a really good team. It just he's waiting on some guys to turn it up here a little bit.
Cameron is
TJ Watt injury is
Yeah.
big for him.
definitely. Cameron, owner of the Spurs, is tied for the 8th longest multi-season win streak. He's won 7 in a row now, and the longest is 12, held by Jameson from last year. Of course, he went 12-0, so that's pretty obvious. And then the next one, only 4 teams, get this, only 4 teams have ever started 0-3 and still made the LCC playoffs. It was the Spurs last year, right? And it won a championship, the only one in this group to do that. So that's pretty remarkable. Buck Your Mother, that was Isaac, who was in the league for a couple of years in 2018. Give Me More, Jameson, in 2017. And his team name back then was Zaba the Benjamin, for Kelvin Benjamin. Rest in peace. And then Finkel was Einhorn, and I cannot remember his name. That was his team name from 2014, but he was the first to do it, to start 0-3 and still make the playoffs. Do you remember him?
I do not. I think that might have been my first year actually, but I do not remember him.
Yeah, man, it'll come to me later maybe. And then last news announcements: longest losing streak to start the season and still make the playoffs was Jameson in 2017. Started 0-5. That is remarkable to go 5 straight losses and get into the playoffs, and he won his division. So
he had to have one out from there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. And first of all, we've never had anyone go 0-4 make the playoffs. 0-5, that's even more remarkable, the fact that he did that. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. Maybe we will, because it's a longer, rigorous season now. It's 13 weeks instead of 12.
Good point.
So
get that extra week now to make up some ground.
Yeah, but 0-5, man. I think most people 0-5 would be contemplating tanking at that point.
Without a doubt.
That probably says something about his division, though. I would have to go back and look, but I would imagine his division was probably pretty trash if he was able to get in after starting 0-5.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it's a good segue to the next segment here that you were going to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Talking about tanking after 0-5.
Yeah. And then I skipped over this, but also another shout out to LCC After Dark, guys. If you haven't listened to our other podcast, they call themselves like a less serious version of the Commissioner's Clubhouse. So a little bit longer episodes too compared to ours. We try our best to keep ours roughly 30 minutes, but we've done a shit job at that over the past couple weeks. I think last week we pushed like an hour, which is pretty ridiculous. We definitely don't plan on doing that again tonight. But yeah, definitely check them out if you get a chance. They're mostly on Spotify, but I do believe they upload on YouTube as well. Usually a couple days, I feel like, after the Spotify episodes go up. But Paul, are you ready to kick off our first like real segment of the night?
Yeah, no doubt. I think I'm really excited for this one.
So we've got Panic or Patience for you guys, and in this segment, we're gonna pick either a team or a player where we think those in the league and those outside the league might want to have a little bit of patience with, right? Don't give up on them just yet. Or maybe this individual, this player, or this GM should be they should be freaking out right now, right? Because they're borderline too late. And it sounds weird because we're only in week 3, but as we noted, only 4 teams have ever even made the playoffs at 0-3. So if that says anything, granted it's a longer season, so you probably have a better shot now than you normally would. But yeah, let's kick this off. So what do you think we should do first? Do you think we should do patience or panic?
Let's do patience first. You know, I like. We'll start with the patience.
Okay, I'll let you kick us off with the patience one then.
Okay, so my first patience is going to be a team, and it's going to be Daquan. You know, and I get after a tough loss like it seems like he had last week. I mean, like there still could be a stat change because it was so close, but looks like he took another loss. But 0-2 to start the season for him, had a lot of high expectations. But if I'm him, you know, I'm staying patient. He's actually had some good weeks. Just has suffered some tough losses, and I think just overall as a team, you know, he just needs to be patient. I mean, I know he's in a tough division too, so that, you know, could be a sign for panic, but I think just so much potential with that team. You know, I think he just has to stay patient at 0-2 right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he's still scoring a ton of points each week, so like that's what you're looking for when you know what I mean, when you're 0-2 or 0-3. If you're still scoring roughly 200 a game, I mean that's just a luck factor at that point. That has nothing to do with your team's performance and all about your matchups thus far in the season. So eventually, odds are it's going to break your way eventually. So definitely don't give up on yourself yet. I think Daquan, if you're listening, you got this still. I get it. You're down 0-2. You're down in divisional play and conference. Like, you know, you got to climb yourself out of the hole, but you can definitely still do it. I definitely believe in you, man. I think I'm ready, though, to start with my patience player. And I'm going to go with a guy. I'm actually going to the player here. Sorry, not a team or a GM, but a team that I think people can like. I know some people are freaking out, right? Because this player, a lot of value went into him in the offseason and drafting and whatnot. But Deion Jones, sorry, linebacker. He's currently ranked number 31, but pretty much in everyone's boards, like this is a top 6 linebacker, top 12 for most people. And I kind of knew going this season that Deion Jones was going to be kind of on the back end of the LB1s, but he's actually outside of LB1 now in our league. Because again, there's 24 teams, so at least 24 linebackers starting every week, but we all know better than to think that it's more than that. But he's a guy who's only averaging 27 a game. He had 36 in week 1 and 18 last week. Well, they go up against the Rams this week, and this isn't a good bounce back week, in my opinion. Because I still think it's kind of a pass first offense out in LA right now. But I think you can, really start to look for Deion to put it on later in the season. This is a guy, like, don't be freaking out trying to sell him ultra cheap just to get something. Obviously, don't cut him. I really think that for the rest of the season, he's got some good matchups later on for Deion. Sorry, I think I said LA earlier. They're playing against the New York Giants, actually. And so that one could be good. And then they've got the Washington football team, the Jets, but it's when we get to week 8 is when it gets interesting. Because you got Carolina with Christian McCaffrey, you got the Saints after that, you got the Cowboys, you got the Panthers again later on going to the postseason. So Deion is a guy that I like, but I do think you need to, pump the brakes just a little bit. Obviously, this is not a top 12 guy anymore, but he's definitely still a top 24, and he deserves that respect.
Yeah, I agree. For me, there's always a bit of panic with some of the better defensive players early on. I think they're a little bit more hit or miss, especially early on in the season than offensive guys. For example, I know C.J. Mosley was cut, after a rough start, but then he bounced back the second week. I saw, some guys like Justin Simmons, even for me, John Johnson. I've seen some some defensive guys that have struggled, but when you look at their total snap counts and how long they're on the field for, usually try to bank on the fact that, the more they're on the field, the more consistent they're going to be as the year goes on. You have your guys that have their breakout games, but when they're only on the field like 50% of the time, that could be tough to keep up with that in terms of just, how can you really maintain scoring, 30 points a game in fantasy in our league? That means like, for them getting like 5 or 6 tackles a game when you're only playing like 50% of the snaps. So for me, I think you just have to try to stay on top of like watching how long these guys are on the field for. And in terms of Deion Jones, he's still like a pretty much a 90+% snap count guy. So, just got to stay patient with guys like that. They're going to have their rough patches, but that kind of stuff stays steady throughout the year. You just bank on those snap counts and they should get the tackles as the year goes on.
Yeah, I agree. So let's hear your panic.
All right. So my panic, like in terms of, I'm gonna go with a team again. I mean, there's not too many players I would panic on this early. I mean, I'm not, too into like, I'm more of like I want to see at least 4 or 5 games before I really start panicking on a player. But there are some teams that I would say need to panic just because they're in good divisions, and I would say that's kind of Slapdicks right now. He also has Cody, who is 0-2 in that division, so that gives him some leeway. But defending champ Cameron 2-0, in a tough division, you start 0-2. Really kind of just digging your way out of the cellar right now, and it's not going to be easy. And I think he's got some tougher matchups coming up here as well. So I think maybe a little room for panic for him. Even though I like his team, it just sometimes it's just unfortunate matchups in fantasy can cost you a season, even if you have a good team. That's just how it goes. Sometimes you just got to hope that you either get the good matchups and you get like some lucky ones where you face guys that score like less than 100 points, which we had happen twice this week, or you face guys that score over 250 points and you score over 200 and it's just an unfortunate week. So
Yeah, I agree. He should definitely be worried, and it's not so much that I get it. His team's struggling. I mean, without a doubt, but also more importantly, Cameron is going full steam ahead this season. I mean, he's literally outscored Big Us already at this point in the year. After 2 weeks, by 100 points, he's outscored him. Literally, Cameron scored 442. Austin scored 342. It is wildly different. I mean, one team's averaging 171 a game, the other one's averaging 221 a game. So, and it's not an efficiency issue really. Their efficiency is kind of in the same ballpark. It is literally a roster thing. It's a matchup thing on top of that. I mean, yeah, dude, it's rough right now for Slapdicks. This is you got to climb your way out. Somehow you got to catch up to Cameron for first place in division if you can. But you've also got once a janitor, Will Watson, who is playing really good right now. Took over Michael's team, who I feel like Jordan and I, we left a good team after the draft for whoever was going to inherit that franchise. We didn't want to get stuck
definitely
with
give you guys
BS.
give yourself some credit for that because you guys definitely put together a great team, which is great. As the two commissioners, I think it's commendable that you guys would put your like full effort towards like putting together a good team for somebody else to come take over because you want to make sure that people are getting a fair chance to come in the league and have a good team to take over. So
Yeah, I agree. I think we did the right thing there. We've seen it time and time again. Like when someone inherits a generational shit team, lack of a better word, it's hard. I mean, it takes at least a full season to recover. A lot of times it takes like good 2 seasons to pull that team around. So we don't want to do that to someone if we didn't have to, especially because I didn't even get to draft it. But yeah, anyways, I'm getting off topic there. But Slapdicks is definitely a team that should be panicking. Is their season over yet? Definitely not. But they should definitely be panicking and trying to figure out what can they do to at least make gains for the wild card race. I know it sounds crazy, week 3, but you've always got to be thinking about that. Like, how far off am I from that 6th seed, the 3rd seed, the 2nd seed, the 1st seed? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm going to move over to my panic. And this is actually a team. And this team, man, was I high on them in the offseason, and I am eating crow right now. It is New Orleans Voodoo, John's team. Efficiency, because literally At the last second, the Pittsburgh Steelers took out Devin Bush, and he had him in his lineup, I believe, and that killed him. So, I'm not gonna beat him on that. I know, typically, if someone doesn't set their lineup after 2 times, we kick them. But in this case, he had set his lineup. It's just one of those things. If you're not in front of Fox Sports or y'all's division and score, his efficiency is only 74.9%, which means there's so much more room to improve, and that is scary. That is extremely scary. So, oh man. I mean, John, though, on his defense, too, he is the most score team. His team is points against. He's leading in your division. Actually, he might be leading the entire league. He's had 466. Oh my God, 466. Yeah. I don't see anyone who's giving up that much.
That leads the league, but not that it would have mattered last week. But
definitely.
It's weird because the first week he scored over 200, then the next week he scores under 100. That's about as drastic of a drop as you're going to get.
Yeah. And honestly, even if he would have got his lineup right, I don't think it would have made a difference in week 2.
Oh, no, definitely not. And like you said, I'd actually know myself that John was at the Jets game that day, so he definitely wasn't in front of the TV. So that's definitely understandable. Like you said, it's tough when those guys get listed out the day of, especially because Devin Bush was such a surprise. I see today he's practicing with no restrictions, so that was just such a random we're going to sit this guy today. And and it was just, what are you going to do? It's really tough. For him, he's going to a football game. I know he was going early to tailgate and stuff. So, you're not checking your phone and, it stinks, but, I definitely wouldn't blame him or say that he was negligent to his team. That's kind of stuff. That's the hardest thing that I usually tell people about this league is especially with because, offensive guys, a lot of people play Yahoo. So they get the updates when, the offensive guys are out, but, ESPN and all the leagues don't really talk about when defensive guys get listed out for the day as much. So it could definitely slip past you. And not that it would have mattered for him last week, but I'm sure, he'll be back on it this week. And it looks like Devin Bush is playing, so he's fine as long as he just keeps the same lineup from last week. And for me, it's just his team has to get a running back. And I wonder if he's going to trade one of those, he's got Corey Davis, Tyreek Hill, and George Kittle. Will he trade one to try to upgrade at running back and, try to make another run at it this year? Or will he just, kind of let it ride and go for the future? So I do like that panic pick, though.
Yeah, both those teams definitely. Good luck to them. They've got a hill to climb up, but I think they can do it. But it's definitely going to take a lot of effort and some bold moves probably to do it. So let's go ahead and let's jump to our game of the week. We don't have to go very far to talk to this owner of Game of the Week because here it is. It's Hunter of Champions versus Mufasa Moneymakers, and this is a big one. I mean, we pre-picked the first 3 Game of the Weeks when the schedule was first made, so there's no bias in this. I don't even know if you were helping with the podcast when we did the schedule release. So
no, definitely not, because I would never pick myself anyway. So
I mean, but I'm going to defend this Game of the Week because I know some people might bash it because there's some other teams that are better records playing against each other this week. But this is as I was talking about John must win. This is a must win for you too. You're 0-2. Hunter's 2-0.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, his team is looking deadly right now. And your team's looking solid, but
Trevor Lawrence, he's killing me.
I know, man. I know.
He cost me the game last week. That's why I was a little upset with him. It's all right, but
I don't blame you.
I'm not going to win against a good team when my quarterback scores under 20 points. So,
exactly.
If he had just had an average game, I'd probably win that one. But it's all right. I actually do like my team. For somebody like me who's been trading back and trading some good players, I actually do like the roster I have right now. And I was pretty disappointed with that loss last week, but I'm still kind of going for it this year. I like my roster. So.
Yeah, well, let's jump into some of the fun facts of the week. Hunter currently leads the regular season series 4-1. Last time you won was Hunter's first year in the league, 2017 actually. Hunter's won the last 4 straight, of course. Like I just mentioned, Hunter also has outscored Mufasa Moneymakers 1,189 to 1,078. So over 100 points between the 5 matches, which really isn't that much when you add that up. Mufasa Moneymakers has now won a game since week 10 of 2020. So Mafala, you got some work to do, man. You're not too far off from Cody over there right now.
I'm not.
Hunter also has the second highest career winning percentage of all LCC GMs, a 24 game minimum. When I was running that stat, Mufasa Moneymakers has not finished above 500 since 2018, and then the last one here, Hunter of Champions has a losing record of only 5 active teams in the LCC. That is pretty remarkable between the two of you guys. So that's some of your pregame fun facts for a game of the week here.
Yeah.
Maybe not so fun for you.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know like I got some bad stats there for me for sure, but I will say that though I didn't finish above 500 in 2019, I did still make the playoffs that year because in the wild card. So it wasn't a total loss of a season. I was 500 and made the playoffs, so it wasn't like I was awful. So last year, because I know everybody's kind of going off last year and how I was second to last, but like usually I'm pretty competitive. So I'm hoping to get. I was hoping to get back to that this year, but I think my quarterback may hold me back.
Yeah, I mean Trevor, man, that's a bummer. Part of me wonders like if you get fed up with him at some point, if you could, trade him to a Clemson fan and just go get someone else. But I guess the benefit is you get to keep him free next year if you want, and like keeping a quarterback free is really good.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like I could tell anybody right now that's listening, like Trevor Lawrence won't be traded until after the keeper deadline this year. I'm going to use the free keeper on him, and then I'm willing to make a move after keepers are done. So
yeah,
people will be in touch because I have all those early picks again. It'll be just like this year. People will be in touch with me. So maybe they'll come for a pick and Trevor Lawrence, and we'll see what they're willing to give up. But yeah, I really do want to compete this year. I don't want to be in a tank mode again, but it's going to really depend on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor, he's had a rough year so far. I mean, same with most of the rookie quarterbacks to some degree that have played at least. But yeah, we'll see how it goes from here. I mean, if the Jaguars keep sucking, the good news is they're going to have to keep throwing. So at some point, it's going to do good.
But, when you look at Hunter's team, to talk about them, man, like his offense, it's hard to top it. I've been saying that for a while just because you have like the combination of Adams and Mahomes as your quarterback wide receiver. It's hard to beat that. And then 2 really solid, top 10, 15 running backs in Najee Harris and David Montgomery. So, really great offense. And then his defense has just been putting up points. He's got his solid linebacker that he can get points from every week in Isaiah Simmons, who kind of proved me wrong. I didn't think he was going to be this good this year. And he's been
same here.
Playing lights out. And then he just kind of figured it out at DB. All these guys he picked up off the free agency the last couple of weeks, and he's just kind of riding the hot hands. And until I see otherwise, I don't see why his defense won't still put up good points for him to go along with what his offense just does on a consistent basis, which is just put up near a little over 100 points.
Yeah. I mean it's going to be interesting. I would say for me, I'm going to pick Hunter in this matchup. I think that, like I said, he's got a great team, and his efficiency is pretty low, but he's scored a ton of points so far in the year. So that's very optimistic for him. But I think what makes this game interesting is the storyline going into it. Can Hunter go 3-0 and maybe even be a game ahead of Armando, who's trailing him or not even trailing him, only by points, if he loses this week to John. But it's like I said, it's a storyline that makes this one interesting. It's rivalry games, divisional matchups, so it's extremely important. You don't want to face 0-3 because the outcome or the odds of you getting in definitely drop after that. And then from Hunter's perspective, dude, this is your chance. This is your chance to really kick it into gear and get back to where you started or left off in 2019, 2 years ago, when you last made the playoffs. So I think this game could be respectable. I think DeForest Buckner can definitely put up as many, maybe not even more than Von Miller. I think Isaiah Simmons, CJ Mosley. I'm definitely going to give it to... I've got to go Simmons here just based off the way it's gone. But I think your safeties, honestly, are going to outperform Hunters this week. At least from the last time I checked the lineup, it was Daniel Sorensen and Quandre Diggs in the lineup. So I do think you beat him there, but I think the big difference is Pat Mahomes
Yeah,
versus
that's what I was just about to say. That's just like
Trevor.
last week. That's what it came down to. Last week's matchup for me and Mondo came down to Lamar Jackson and Trevor Lawrence, and this week it doesn't get any better for Trevor. I think Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt are about to have a field day with that Jags offensive line. They're about to They're about to take him to school, and they might both have 5 sacks this week. Who knows?
Literally, yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a long day for Trevor Lawrence again. Hopefully, he just stays healthy. And yeah, but I just think the difference is like I like my defense a lot, and his is solid, but I do like mine more. But his offense just that much better, where I have to give him the advantage here too, as tough as it is, because I do not want to go 5-1 now. It's gonna take me a while to climb back from that. But
Yeah, you never want to go have a losing record against your divisional rivals because then you got to listen to them talk crap. You don't want that. No one wants that.
no, definitely not.
But yeah, I'm going to Hunter here. I do think it's gonna be closer than some may think, but like you said, the big difference is Trevor versus Pat Mahomes. I don't know if you can really compare that. I guess Trevor is gonna be forced to throw the ball a lot. They're gonna be trailing in that game pretty much the entire time.
100%. Yeah, but I'm honestly worried he's going to get hurt because Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt are going to tear that offensive line a new one. Like, I really don't know if he's going to be able to, like, stand up after the game.
Yeah, you may not. You may not. So let's go ahead and move on to our next matchups here that we got for this week. And the next one we're going to go over is Hash-Slinging Slashers versus the New Orleans Voodoo. This is a big game, too, because, again, it's an 0-2 team versus a 2-0 team. You know, this is a must-win for John. I would argue this is more of a must-win for him than it is for you, just because of the fact that his team has underperformed so much that if he goes 0-3, I don't know if he can recover from that. I mean, maybe he proves me wrong, but I just don't know, dude. If he loses this, he could literally be done, even with a longer season. I mean, you got Zach Wilson versus Lamar Jackson. I mean, do we even have to compare that? Peyton Barber versus Leonard Fournette. I mean, that's kind of a wash. I'm not expecting anything. And then receivers kind of cross each other out. But I don't know, man. Anytime I see someone flexing a receiver, I've got my doubts. And again, John's learning as he goes, but that's a tough one, dude. There's no way I would ever do that. I think for me, I got to go Armando in this. I think he's going to win pretty big.
Oh, yeah, same. I can't trust John's team. I mean, I just don't trust the Jets at all. And, I mean, at Denver is no easy matchup. They've shown that they're a pretty solid defense. So it's going to be another rough day probably for Zach. Maybe not as rough as last week, but still pretty rough. And I just can't trust it, like you said, the two. And there's no run, and the running back either. I mean, maybe Peyton Barber plays a little role again if Jacobs is out, but I just don't like it. Even last week, his role was very minimal.
Yeah.
So, no running back, rough quarterback. I think Mondo, wins this pretty handily.
Yeah, I agree. Our next matchup here, we have got, and there was no history between those teams either because, like I said, John's new to the league. Our next one, we've got Abusement Park versus Beg for G-Reg in a divisional clash. A clash among friends, former roommates in college. I think they roomed together. I know they definitely were friends in college. I just can't remember if they were roommates. But yeah, I talk about a big game. I think some could argue this could have been game of the week if we didn't pre-pick games or up to week 3, because this is kind of a clash of titans, if you will, for this week. This is going to be big between them both. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong week. I was pulling up week 2. And, sorry, I got a text. For those that don't know, I'm a Panthers fan. So if you hear some Panthers roaring, that's what's going on over here. But, sorry, where was I? We were talking about Abusement Park versus Beg for G-Reg. They've only played each other 3 times. Last time they played was in the playoffs of last year in the wild card round where Beg for G-Reg won 195-187. It was a big one. But that was kind of the one that gave Beg for G-Reg the lead in the overall series. They're both on a 2-game win streak, and Honestly, this is a tough one for me to pick when I look at it. I might let you go first with who you think's going to win this.
I think that I'm going to go with. It is really tough because both these teams are great, but I'm going to go with Abusement Park in this one. I just like his. I like his offense a lot. You know, even though I think Aaron Jones obviously doesn't have the week he had last week, but it's going to be a tough time against that 49ers front. But you know, his defense is really solid, and he's got a lot of tough choices. He's got a lot of good players on his bench too. So I know he's got a lot of tough flex choices for his team, which is never a bad issue. So, and then for me, I think the big difference probably comes. Wow, both teams are great. I'm just going to go slightly Abusement Park just to end it because I could go on for hours about both how good both these teams are. So
Yeah, I'm going to go Abusement Park too. And one of the matchups that I love this week is Zach Cunningham against the Panthers on Thursday night. I think Zach is going to eat in that game. I think he's going to get a ton of tackles. I also think that Kyler Murray is going to go off against Jacksonville for him. The only part I'm a
he's got
little
good.
worried about for Peyton is Justin Reed against Carolina. He's questionable for Thursday night. He didn't practice Tuesday. I'm not sure if he practiced today, but man, it's a short week, and if you're banged up, even if he does play, do we see a full load for Justin Reed? I don't know, man. I have my doubts, and if I was him, I'd be a little worrisome having him in the lineup. I'd probably play Foye against the Giants, so I think he has a better shot of getting you at least 30. I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before. But yeah, I'm going to go Beasley
Yeah.
Park in that.
Yep. Yep. I think it's a tough one, but Abusement Park.
All right, so we're going to go to our next matchup here, which is Burrow's body count versus Detroit Bad Boys here. They've only played each other once. It was week 6 last year in 2020 when Burrow's body count defeated them 188 to 151 in a relatively low-scoring game. Funny enough, even though Zach won that game against Billy, Zach didn't make the playoffs, but Billy did. As crazy as that is, especially considering how low scoring it was for Detroit Bad Boys there. Man, this is another good game. I mean, both teams are 1-1, but I still think it's going to be Detroit Bad Boys in this. I really think Zach starts to get in the right direction, but it's not going to be enough, man, because I really think the Panthers are good. I mean, I'm a Panthers fan, and I'm going to knock on wood to don't jinx myself here. But I think Christian McCaffrey and that entire Panther offense will have a field day, an absolute field day on Thursday night. I hope they do at least. And then they also did that trade, so that makes this game pretty interesting too. But I've got to go Detroit Bad Boys in this. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey, he's like, it seems like no matter how Carolina uses him or how frequently they use him, teams still can't stop him. And he puts up ridiculous numbers, just crazy numbers. So, yeah, give me Detroit. I think it's going to be them.
Yeah, definitely the Bad Boys. I mean, like you said, McCaffrey. I don't even think has he found the end zone this year? Did he get in the end zone last week?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I know like he goes off without even if he doesn't get in the end zone, he usually has great games. But I think he finds the end zone multiple times this week, and I think he has a huge game. So. You know, and then just like the rest of his team is so so solid. He's going to get the points from every position, especially getting DK Metcalf. I thought his one weak spot was just like his inconsistency at wide receiver, having to go like hope that Antonio Brown will be a factor that day with all the weapons they have, or Devontae Smith being a rookie and in not a great passing offense. What he would do, but to add DK Metcalf and really. Didn't really affect his starting lineup at all. He still had great players at every other position, so he didn't really touch any starters. So he really made a great upgrade there. So I thought he just improved his team even more. So I'm going to definitely lean with Detroit Bad Boys here.
Yeah, I agree there. Our next one, this is two guys who are borderline Hall of Famers. In fact, I think, I could be wrong, I think if Matt wins this game, that might put him within that 200-point limit of getting into the LCC Hall of Fame. We won't calculate that until the end of the season just because it's going to be a pain to do that weekly. But Matt is a guy who is borderline there. Colby's not far behind him, so Mr. 300 at 1-1. Jiu-Jitsu Jesus is at 2-0. They've played each other 10 times since 2010 when the league was founded. And they both have, between the two of them, 3 Little Critter Bowl championships, but they've got 4 appearances. It's a good game, man. This is a rematch from Little Critter Bowl from 2015, where Matt won 171 to 148. But that is the last time Matt has defeated Colby. It has been all Colby ever since. He is currently, and it just blows me away when I say this, but he's on a 5-game win streak, dude, since 2015. That's crazy. And he swept him last year, too. And the games weren't even close on top of that. So Matt's got the better record, but can he, get over that hump and finally get back at Colby for all these years of dominating him?
I don't know. It's going to be tough because I do want to announce. I mean, everybody will be listening tomorrow when this is official, but Jordan gave me the green light to announce this on here because everybody will see it on the post soon. You just wait until he gets home. But he's going to be trading Colby, Jonathan Taylor. So Colby will be adding not that Chase Edmonds was terrible, but he's going to be having a pretty major upgrade there at the running back position. And
big time.
So that makes it a little scarier if you're Matt in this situation because that really pushes Colby's team over the top almost, especially on offense. So, I think it's going to be a rough day for Matt. I think Colby might make it 6 in a row here, but we'll see. But if that doesn't get countered, obviously there's plenty of chances to counter for people. But as of right now, that trade is official, and we'll see what counters there are. But if it goes through and Jonathan Taylor to Colby's team, definitely for me puts him over the top. So.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed just because I was trying to trade for Jonathan Taylor. I might try to swoop in and make a counter. I may have to make a pretty strong one, though. I don't know the full details of that trade. But this is
me neither. I just know that Colby's getting Taylor. That's all I know.
Yeah. Colby might also want to look at getting a linebacker or a flex player, depending on how Tremaine Edmonds bounces back. He's supposed to be healthy for week 3, man, but he's been a total bust this year. And honestly, when you consider how hyped he was, Tremaine Edmonds, that is, coming out of the NFL draft, I feel like he hasn't fully lived up to expectations, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. He's extremely young for the amount of years he's been in the league, but at some point, man, you got to produce. And part of me wonders, do you plug in a guy like Kyle Duggar in hopes that he gets a Jameis Winston pick on Sunday, or do you go with someone like Logan Wilson, who's been dominating, and then go against Najee Harris in week 3? I kind of like that too. Yeah, I don't know, dude. At some point, I wonder if Tremaine Edmonds will be even worth rostering at some point in the year if this keeps up. But he's got Bobby Wagner, so he's going to do good. Tracy Walker will do good too. For me, if he's getting this running back to Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to have to go Mr. 300. I think that's the X factor in this, just because Chris Carson has yet to prove anything this year. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns, but he averaged like 2.5 yards a carry last week. It was pretty pathetic. I watched a lot of that game for the Seahawks.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
So I'm going to go Mr. 300 in this.
Yeah, same.
Let's see. Sorry, I keep up with my picks on the whole fantasy pick'em thing, just so I can go back and look at how bad or how good I did with my picks the week before.
Yeah.
So I'm saving that right now so I can move on to your next matchup. All right. So here we go. Next matchup, we have got primetime players versus the third leg. This will be their 11th time meeting. Last time Daquan won was week 11 of 2019. They have played each other every year since 2018 in week 11. Every year. I don't know if they play each other week 11 this year or not, but I feel like they should. It should be tradition now. But no, I mean, Charles swept him last year. And both times he scored over 200 points. In fact, neither winning team has scored less than 200 points in their game since 2015 when they played each other. That's the last time either winning team scored under 200 points. That's pretty crazy because, I know we had a huge influx of points like in 2018, I want to say, was when we made the switch to IDP. And that's when things went over 300 pretty regularly. It's sometimes even 400 points. But now, like this past year, and then like everything before, 2017 or sorry, 2018. A 200-point game was very respectable, and if you got 300, you were on an island of your own of dominance. So
Yeah.
if that puts anything into perspective. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Third legs 2-0, primetime players 0-2. Last time Daquan won was the conference championship game of 2021, or sorry, 2020. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sure he'd love to be the conference championship in 2021 again, but Daquan, man, this is tough, dude. 0-2. We talked about a good 0-2 team, but going against Charles here does not make it any easier for him.
Yeah, no, I think Charles has some really tough matchups this week, though. I'm not, huge on Baker versus Chicago. That's a fairly tough match. I know Chicago hasn't been as great as they once were, but still not huge on that. And then Zeke against Philly, always tough for running backs against Philly, and then even Micah Parsons. I mean, with this change to DN, there's just less opportunity. And I know he was all over the field last week, but he was playing, a right tackle that's now nowhere near as good as what he's going to see this week in Lane Johnson. So, what he did last week was pretty impressive to move positions like that and still be all over the field, even though it didn't really show up in fantasy. Because, like I said, in DN, it's going to be harder overall just to, make plays, especially because you're not in space as much. But it's just going to be a tough matchup for him against Lane Johnson. So I'm just not huge on some of his matchups this week. So I'm going to have to slightly lean with Daquan in this because I love his matchups. I love Daniel Jones against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's horrible. And, Roquan Smith is Roquan Smith. And, he should have a good day with, the Browns trying to pound the ball with Nick Chubb. And I just think that that's going to give him the advantage there. I think, Daniel Jones, Roquan Smith again goes off because last week he had the pick six and had a good week. But I think, I'm going to have to go with Daquan in this one, primetime players.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. I agree that Micah Parsons in your flex, man, that is ballsy. That is super ballsy. And this is something that just popped in my mind, Mafali. Like, do you think it'd be worth Charles trading away Nick Bosa and moving Micah Parsons to D end and then using the trade with Nick Bosa to upgrade a maybe linebacker, defensive back, or even maybe even get a really good draft pick for next year?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought. I mean, the only thing that would worry me is the fact that I think this is like a temporary thing for him. I really think they're just waiting to get some guys back, like not only just DeMarcus Lawrence, but there's a couple other D linemen that they had out. And I think once they get a couple more bodies back, they're going to want to put him back in space because as great of an athlete as he is, you don't want him to be your outside linebacker. There's so much more potential for him elsewhere. But at the same time, it is kind of weird because the Cowboys have that whole mess at linebacker with, what do they do with Van Der Esch and Smith when, because if you look at the snap counts, Neal and Parsons have really been on the field the most. I mean, Smith kind of upped it last week, but, Van Der Esch is only getting on for like 50% of the snaps. He's not really seeing that much time. So does that go up if, Parsons sticks at DN full time, or there's just a lot of questions there with that Cowboys defense. So I think it'd be tough for me to like trade somebody and then just kind of bank on Micah Parsons right now because you have no idea where they're going to put him or what they're doing with him or anything.
Yeah. I'm going to go actually Charles in this. I have hope that he will take Micah Parsons out of his starting lineup. That is the thing that's tripping me up here when I'm making my pick. I really hope that he gets Terrell Edmonds in there because he has a stellar matchup against the Bengals this week. I really think he could do really well. He'd be doing himself a huge disservice by keeping Micah Parsons in that lineup for week 3, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Charles in hopes that he gets his crap together. So let me save that. All right, so we are pretty... This episode's gone a lot longer than I thought. We're at like 50 minutes now.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, my bad.
We've got like half the teams still to go through, so we'll pick up our pace a little bit. We don't want to screw anyone over by not talking about their team, of course, but we are probably going to not go into as much detail, probably, especially my game. I'll probably just say who I'm picking, and that's it. So we got Step Rose Fantasy Company versus Afternoon Delights. That is Matt McCarson, rookie GM, taking over that team. This team right here, 1-1 at the moment without the stat change. Sorry, That's going to happen tomorrow morning, more than likely. And afternoon delights, Jordan, who is 1-1. Big game. Both teams have 1-1. Who are you picking here?
I'm going to go with Jordan this one. I really like, Justin Fields starting in his first game. I think he'll go off, and I think that'll springboard him with the rest of he got a great roster. So I think that's going to – he's been having trouble with his quarterbacks, and he finally is going to figure it out, I think, now with Justin Fields.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jordan wins this pretty convincingly. Next game, we got Eastside Brawlers versus myself. This is a rivalry game that goes back all the way to 2010. We've played each other now. God, this is a lot, actually. This will be the 23rd time since 2010. So that's a lot. Last time Eastside Brawlers won was week 2 of 2020, almost just over a full calendar year. Who are you picking here?
I'm going to go with you, Pat. I think I like Jalen Hurts against Dallas. I think he's going to have a great game. A little worried about Kamar against New England. Belichick loves, hedging on people's best players. But yeah, I'm going to go with you here, even though I just think that I think they're just a better overall roster.
I really hate Alvin Kamara's matchup too. Do I pick myself? Do I dare do it? Yeah, I think I am. I think it's going to be a close game, though. But I think I have a little bit more confidence in my team and winning this. So we got our next matchup here. Is the Spurs versus Once a Janitor. This is a rivalry game. And some people may not think about it because, Once a Janitor, Will Watson's relatively new to the league. He was in the league back in 2016, I want to say, was when he played last. But they've been friends since like kindergarten or like elementary school, so they've known each other forever. But I'm interested to see who you're going to pick here because we've been so high on Cameron, but Once a Janitor after last week, you got to give him some respect.
Yeah, definitely do. But I still, as tough as it is, I think I'm going to have to lean Cameron here. I think he's going to go 3-0.
3-0 versus 0-3 last year. What does that mean for him going in the rest of the season? I mean, that's huge for him. He's got the team to just keep going with that momentum. I do think this game is going to be extremely close. I think Demario Daviso is going to totally shit the bed against the Patriots because they do not play traditional football up there in New England. I think Demario is going to be pretty much irrelevant, and he doesn't really have another linebacker to go with. He's got 2 on IR. So, someone needs to get cut. Josie Jewell is out for the year. Well, if you're listening to this, I would definitely cut him. He's not worth even keeping next year. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go Cameron in this. I think he should win. But I do think it's going to be close.
Yeah, same. Hopefully, Will's listening and he makes a move, and maybe he makes a big pickup that puts him over the top, but I'm going to go Cameron.
Agreed. All right, so our next matchup, we got Slapdicks versus the Steel Curtain. 2 teams that are desperately fighting to get their first win of the year.
This is a huge game, I think. I love this matchup because of how both teams desperately need this win.
And we were high on these teams. I mean, remember I was praising them both at the end of the offseason?
That's a very good division, though. I mean, like we just said, Cameron's in that division, and so is Once a Janitor. So that's just a really good division. It's so I could see why both of them are struggling a little bit.
If I told you that Slapdicks is 4-0 against Cody, would you believe me?
No, wow.
Because he is. It is wild. He's 4-0, and the closest game that they've had was a 48-point game. That was a 48-point spread between the two, where Slapdicks won in week 3 of last year, a year ago to the day. In fact, they have played each other. It's funny enough, they've played each other 4 times, twice in 2015, twice in 2020. They played each other week 3 in both of those years. So here we go again. It's kind of like a little tradition now. They're playing in week 3. But yeah, I'm going to go. Who are you picking in this?
I'm going to lean with Steel Curtain here, Cody. I just think I just trust his defense a little bit more, and I think Saquon finally breaks out this week. I think it's a great matchup against Atlanta. I think he finally has his breakout game, so I'm going to give it to Steel Curtain.
Okay. I'm going to go Slapdicks in here. I think Justin Herbert's going to be forced to play big against Kansas City. I think Christian Kirksey is going to get an astronomical amount of points, just like it said about Houston's defense earlier as a whole. Like Christian McCaffrey's gonna be so busy, Kirksey's gonna have to be busy on top of battle of the Christians, if you will. But I'm gonna go slap picks in this.
Okay, nice.
Man, we're moving quick now. We got our next matchup between bringing Rexy back and Libertad Lobos. These teams couldn't be any more different. Even though Rexy is, in my head, that's how I refer to him, as Rexy. I never say the full name, so I always trip up on it now. Bringing Rexy back, I feel like he's not as good as 1-1, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I guess you got a fortunate matchup last week, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going Alex in this. I think this one's pretty easy for me to pick.
Yeah, oh yeah, same. I think that's an easy pick here for me as well. Sorry, CJ, if you're listening, but you know, at least you got to win last week against Eddie. Got your first LCC dub. Shout out to you. I know that's exciting, but yeah, I think Levitard's Lobos here. I mean, even just last week, looking back at the scores, he outscored him by almost 100. So and don't see much difference this week because just a big difference in just overall rosters.
Yeah, I still think this division is between Give Me More and Libertad Lobos. And let's be honest, CJ, he's here. He's here for the Marvel debates in the group chat. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I think he's just like we said at the end of the offseason. This is a team that's in rebuild mode. We got to have patience with, but it'll happen. This team will get better.
Yeah, I think just to get even one win so far with this team is huge. I think that's all Dirty Mike managed last year. So if you can get one more and you can double up the wins from last year, then you have to be really excited because you got left with pretty much garbage because of what the other team that you guys had to fill in for had some good pieces left, but this team had nothing like really valuable on it. So
this next team literally had no one on it at one point in the offseason, but they didn't keep anyone.
Yeah, literally.
Eddie versus Give Me More over the pants hand job versus Jameson here. Both teams are winless. This is our only other matchup where it's two winless teams who are desperately trying to get that first. Jameson, I've talked to him plenty of times this week. Like, he is desperate for this win, and I think he's even contemplating maybe even tanking if he doesn't win and preparing for next season. And that's crazy to me because this is a guy who went 0-5 a couple years ago and made the playoffs still. So if someone can rebuild a team halfway in the year, it's definitely him. But I think Jameson wins this. I told him, I was like, dude, there's no way you're losing this game unless something wild happens. I'm probably jinxing him as I'm saying that, but I think Give Me More wins this pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me is that, we'll see what Over the Pants hand job does at running back because right now he has Elijah Mitchell in, but he might not be playing. But actually, I'm going to lean with Over the Pants hand job here with the upset. I love Teddy B. Teddy B's balling out this year. Shout out to him playing the Jets. Jamar Chase he got from Give Me More. So I think, she just has a big game just for that reason. And then, like I said earlier, Chandler Jones could have a huge game again this week. I know he had the dud last week, but that's just that's how it is with DNs. Some weeks they have huge weeks and, they just rely on sacks. So a lot of them, are going to have some dud weeks. But this is a week where he should have a huge matchup again. And, Kenny Young, I'm going to go with the upset here, actually. I really do think Over the Pants hand job will get it done slightly. So.
All right.
Because I also don't like Give Me More matchups either. I don't like Mixon at Pittsburgh, and I don't like Allen against Washington, and I don't like McLaurin at Buffalo. That's a tough matchup he got there with Tre'Davious White. So just some tough matchups all around the board for him, especially on offense. So
cool. Well, there you have it, guys. That's our entire breakdown of Week 3. It was another long episode. I promised it wouldn't be long, but I lied. April Fools, a little early, a little late, depending on how you want to see it.
It's tough to really talk about everybody's team in depth and give everybody a fair chance and keep it in a short time. So
yeah, we could probably trim down the news and notes and save ourselves a good 5-10 minutes or so. But let us know if that's something you guys want us to trim or if you enjoy it. Definitely let us know when you listen to this podcast or if you get to this point in the show. But it was great having you on the show, like always, Mafali. I can't wait till next week. Hopefully I'm still 2-0 by the end of tomorrow morning. We'll see. If not, then I'll just have to cry in my office. But
yeah, pretty much. That's all you can do after something like that.
Yeah.
After you lose to a stat change, that's all you can do is just sulk it out in the office.
Yep, that's about it. All right, guys, we'll see you guys in week 4. Best of luck to everyone. Of course, besides my dad, love you still, but I gotta win this week. But we'll see you guys in week 4. Bye, y'all.
Later.